Welcome to SveNFL.
What's up, Rob?
It's Jonathan Rollins.
That's Skip Misora.
And we are two Americans living in Sweden talking about the Super Bowl. It is here, man. The Super Bowl Sunday is around the corner. We're excited. We're gonna watch together for the first time? Or are you gonna come out?
I'm still on the fence.
Well, I hope you make it, man.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm still on the fence.
I hope you can make it.
Because before we get to the big day on Sunday, I have some business to attend to on Saturday, which happens to be my 25th wedding anniversary.
What? That's the silver, right?
That is the silver.
That stuff means something to me. I always try to remember that stuff.
It's kind of yeah, I remember the first year we were married. We were like, "Oh, what's the thing when you're married for 1 year?" It's like paper or something.
It's paper? Okay, wood is 5, right?
I think so, yeah. It's paper. So we went out and bought each other like weird coloring books. And then we went to this like Cuban restaurant in Soho, and we sat. It was this place where they made these like dope ass like Cuban sandwiches and stuff. Yes. And so we went and we ate Cuban sandwiches and like colored in our coloring books like a couple of hipsters. It was funny. Before hipsters were a thing.
As a kid, were you like really? Did you dream about being married one day? Like, what was it? Is this the course you thought, the path you thought your life was going to take?
I don't know. It's an interesting question. Like, I guess. I was like most people in America, like you get sucked into the kind of narrative of what your life is supposed to look like. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I can say I always assumed that I would be married, but the part that I'm thankful to have found out is that the idea of what it means to be married is nothing like what I thought it was based on what I saw in like movies and TV shows and things like. I think about there's a movie that I keep thinking about every time I think about this, and it's an early Tom Hanks movie called The Bachelor Party.
Okay, I haven't.
Where he's very, very early Tom Hanks, and he's getting married, and he's having a bachelor party, and all of his friends who are already married are basically just ready to fucking party their asses off like they've never partied before because they've been married for several years, right? And they're like giving him this like horrible picture of what marriage, it starts out like this, but then it turns into that. And that's kind of like how I thought it would, like, yeah, it's great in the beginning, but it fades over time. And I can say I feel pretty fortunate to have met somebody where, I mean, yeah, of course we don't make out like we did when we first met, but it morphs into a way more intense connection. It just takes a different shape. I can say I'm as in love with this woman today as the day I met her, for sure. Man. Probably more so. Oh
man, that's beautiful, man. Yeah, I feel the same way. I've been married. This will be 17 years now. This year. And I feel the same way. It's like, you don't know. But as a kid, I always fantasized about being married with 4 kids, I thought. I was like, this is going to be it. I'm going to be married. I wanted this big wedding. I was like, I really romanticized this whole thing of this family and marriage and all of this stuff all my life.
I think I was always a little more obsessed about the kids thing than I ever was about the marriage thing. And I realized they kind of go together for the most part. But for me, I had such a like weird, fucked up, roller coaster type childhood that for me, the idea of having my own kids was like an opportunity to do things to sort of rewrite the history a little bit. So for me, the obsession was always like, when I have kids, I'm going to do it like this. I'm not going to do it I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to think about this in a different way. And I'm not going to be stuck. I'm not going to be like set in my ways. I'm going to like read the situation and just see how it goes and like treat these people like they're actual human beings, even when they're like, I don't want to treat my kids like kids. I want to treat them like fucking little grownups and just be real with them You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was something that I always kind of obsessed about.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking we're same lines. Maybe that's why we get along so well, because I was kind of the same way with the philosophy on parenting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, it has to be a better way than this.
Hell yeah.
This can't possibly be the way it should be.
I don't know if there should be this much fear. That's how I felt. Like, I don't know, man. They're cowering in the corner. It shouldn't be the thing.
That generation is so weird. My family's going through this right now. My uncle is currently in the hospital, or he just got out of the hospital for something, but it was some bullshit. Like, he got pneumonia and refused to go to the doctor, and then it just got worse.
Wow.
To the point where it turned into an emergency and he had to go to the hospital. And even in the midst of like being taken to the hospital, he's like, don't tell my kids what's going on. And it's like, what?
You mean your adults?
50 years old at this point. You know what I mean? And then he was also like, don't tell my mother, my grandmother, who's like 97, He's like, don't tell her. And then my mother was like, yeah, but she also is a little sick right now because she just visited with you. So I'm going to tell her.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's with all the secrets? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, we can handle it.
Who are we protecting right now?
Exactly.
This is fucking stupid.
Yeah, man. My great grandma, partly why she died is because the key to cancer is catching it early or whatever. And for the longest, she was rubbing. This is dark, but she was rubbing Ben Gay on the lump in her breast.
Oh my
God! For a long time, and then she finally found out it was breast cancer, but it was too late when she finally went and got checked out, because she was just like, "Little Ben Gay, get that fixed." So it's grandma. I wish she could have got to meet Sandra.
Sergeant Segway is about to step into the building, because speaking of problematic parenting,
I love it.
This is literally the first news story on the rundown is Patrick Mahomes' father has just recently been arrested for DWI charge just days before the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's never happened to him before, right?
It's his third time being arrested for a DUI.
What?
He actually did time in jail, I think, the second time. But at least he didn't kill anyone, and or turn somebody into an invalid like Andy Reid's kid did the night before the Super Bowl a few years ago. Remember that?
Yes. And
that was a big time distraction too. I don't think this will be a big distraction. I mean, it'll be a distraction because they're going to ask him about it. But that was dark. I mean, that was like the night before what's it, like 2 nights before the Super Bowl?
Yeah, man.
The year they lost to the Bucks.
To the Bucks, yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah. So that happened.
You catch a nigga off guard with this shit.
That's what he said when he got.
Yeah, for sure. And then I learned, this is sort of like a little mini shit got learned. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, it's sort of a rest in peace story to Carl Weathers, a.k.a. Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies, passed away this past week at the age of 76. What I did not know about my man Carl is that he was once a linebacker for the Raiders in the 1970s. I did not know. I did know.
That was in the back end, my little trivia part of the brain. I had forgotten though. But
He played for the Raiders for a couple of years. I don't think he must not have been that good because he didn't play for. He played only for a couple of years, and then he went on to play in the CFL. So yeah, clearly had a better acting career than a football career.
But I mean,
but man, great fucking roles. I mean, the early Rocky movies.
Action Jackson, bro.
Action Jackson, and I love. I have mixed feelings about Adam Sandler and some of his movies, but I loved how I felt like he brought. I love how he seemingly brought Carl Weathers back from the dead and cast him in Happy Gilmore.
Oh, Gilmore, yeah, I said Billy.
Which was a great part. For anybody who hasn't seen Happy Gilmore, it's such a funny. I feel like that's one of his funnier movies for sure.
Oh yeah. For me, as a young black kid, I loved Carl Weathers because he was like one. You don't see that many people that look like, you know, my family on TV as much, or on in movies and stuff. And then he was handsome, and it was like he played a handsome guy. Who else was there? Billy D. Williams. That was it. You know what I mean?
Billy
But he was handsome and like tough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I really liked him. And every time I saw him, I was like, man, that's fucking Carl Weathers, man. It was like, yeah, it was cool. I was a credit reader too. So when I see Carl Weathers, I knew the name, you know? So R.I.P. to Carl Weathers, man.
And what they were able to do with that character, like from a script writing perspective, the Apollo Creed character, what they were able to do over the course of 3 films was just like one of the greatest examples of character development that you'll see in movie history, where you go from villain to ally to martyr. It's just, I mean, it's like it's beautiful. It's like,
wow. Never thought about that. And it was such a strong character that it carried on to another generation of films.
Exactly. And I haven't even seen those films, but that to me, the fact that they did such a good job with that character at the time when it was written does not surprise me that it was worthy of a comeback years later. That's so cool.
Like a franchise. When you see a spin-off franchise
for someone who's not even the main character, it's like, it is literally one of the greatest characters and character development examples in the history of film, in my opinion. Apollo Creed.
Shit. I never even ever thought of that, and you're right. That's great, man. That's cool. Man.
It's literally timeless.
And he had another resurgence later with The Mandalorian.
True. I don't fuck with The Mandalorian, so... I'm not here for like I was alive for the whole original Star Wars thing, and you know, when they came back with the 3 new ones, which supposedly happened before the 3 original ones, like each one was just gradually like less and less impressive.
We do not care.
So I was just like, I'm out on this whole Star Wars thing. Like I'm not. But anyway, speaking of out, Ben Johnson. What a story.
What happened to Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson, this is a fascinating story. So Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, so the way this story played out is that initially it comes out that he had informed both the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks that he was going to stay in Detroit.
Okay.
My first thought was like, you know, obviously, unlike Kyle Shanahan, who bailed on the Falcons after a total collapse, it's nice to see a guy with the character of Ben Johnson to come back and try to make things right. So that was my first thought. But the funniest part about this whole thing is that it kind of turned into a he said versus he said that has started to sort of bubble up to the surface, you know, and everyone's using their media connections to kind of get their story out.
Wow.
So first it started to leak out that Ben Johnson's camp, that he didn't vibe well with the Commanders owner, Josh Harris, and the crew that he had put together for the head coaching search. Johnson apparently was unimpressed by what he described as basketball people who don't really understand how the NFL works.
You are not serious people.
Exactly. After that shot was fired, shit started to leak out of the Commanders camp like water through a fucking sieve. All of a sudden, the guy who was
like water through a Commander stadium.
Actually, that's better. Yeah, like water through the roof of the Commander stadium. The guy Ben Johnson, who was being reported as a lock for the job in Washington, was all of a sudden being labeled as a bad interview.
Oh, stop!
There was another report that he wanted too much money. And then a little more digging, and it turns out that Josh Harris and his crew were literally on a plane en route to Detroit to conduct the second interview with Ben Johnson when Johnson sent them a text saying, "I'm out."
Oh, wow. So that doesn't jive with what they said.
The only thing that truly makes a billionaire angry.
Mm-hmm. Rejection?
Is rejection.
Yep. That's great.
Now, they conveniently kind of ignore the fact that they were actually en route to Detroit to interview 2 coordinators on the Lions staff. So they've conveniently deleted that from their, for the Commanders have sort of deleted that from their telling of the story. Mm-hmm. Either way, I mean, look, the Commanders got salty. They got dumped. And it just, did real damage to their sense of entitlement. So
it makes it look bad. It's a bad look for them to just be pretending that like that they didn't like him. You know what I mean? It just looks bad. Just say we liked him. He didn't want it. His loss, our loss. You know what I mean? Good luck to him. Another year in Detroit. Mm-hmm. But you don't have to. Damn. It's just a bad look. We're thinking the Commanders are going in this new direction, and then here we go.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Basketball people.
Because they did eventually and quite quickly after that hire Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn to be their new head coach.
Thought it was a good hire. I think that seals McCarthy is done, bro. McCarthy about to be out of there, man. That defense carried him in the beginning of the season a bit.
Yeah. I mean, there was a bit of another round of Belichick speculation, like would the Commanders be talking to him? But ultimately, now that all the positions are filled, we'll get to the Seahawks in a minute. But that essentially means that Vrabel, Belichick, Pete Carroll they're just not going to be head coaches.
Oh, you're just forgetting another name out there that was out there? You're not going to mention Brandon Staley at all? You're just going to act like he wasn't out there?
You can go ahead and hit the "You Are Not Serious People" button again for that one. You walked right into that.
You are not serious people.
His name will come up later for sure. Oddly enough, here's the funny thing. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, speaking of the Belichick thing, this man does not know when to keep his mouth shut.
What?
Like a week after announcing that Mike McCarthy was not going to get fired, he gave this interview saying he doesn't rule out the idea that he could work with Bill Belichick. Now, I realize that he's saying like in the future, right?
So, well, not as a coach, but just as the GM.
But why?
Why would you do that? Just like fire the guy.
Completely unprompted. Like you don't. Yeah. I mean, you're basically like you're trying again back to like Mike McCarthy is definitely going to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, tell me his seat's hot without telling me his seat's hot. Yeah.
And I almost kind of feel like he might just have Belichick on speed dial. Like in the event that McCarthy has to be canned in the middle of the season, which is anyway.
That's stupid, man. So stupid.
Let's see. My notes are a little out of order, but we're going to get to
He did this with Jason Garrett, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Similar story to the Ben Johnson thing. Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick announced that he was staying in Houston. I mean, Ben Johnson and Bobby Slowick were easily the 2 hottest names on the coach hiring carousel.
And Raheem, but y'all got Raheem. He was up there too, they said.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other one, obviously, was Seattle Seahawks hiring Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald to be their new head coach. At 36, he will officially be the youngest head coach in the NFL. So they go from Pete Carroll, the oldest, to Mike McD, the youngest, who I hate to say, or sorry, not sorry, falls under the category of my man, former Bulldog Mike McD. He was not good enough to play for the Georgia Bulldogs, but he did work as an assistant coach during the Mark Richt days.
Okay. Shout out to Mark Richt, who coached both of our teams.
Exactly. I actually was a little mad at him.
Really?
A little bit of Shanahan vibes because he got us so close, so many times.
Yeah, Ken told me that too.
I feel like we fell on our faces so many times during the Mark Richt era where it was like we could have made it to the mountaintop. And then he left Georgia for Miami. Like it was a big shock. Like nobody knew it. Nobody saw it coming. And then I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he won a chip with you guys not long after he left.
No.
Did he never win one?
Never won one with us.
I thought he did. But...
We haven't won one since 02.
Anyway, okay, maybe not. But we just felt, I think maybe it was this, we were like, oh, great.
We were good. We were top 10 for a bit, and then it all.
I think
Ken
we
was
felt like,
don't get your hopes up, bro. He's going to let you down. And he did.
Yeah.
We had like top recruiting class a couple years and shit. He can recruit, and he played for the U. But
I just remember when he left, it felt really personal.
Yeah, people said that.
Yeah.
And then he left us. He left us for health reasons to just step down, and we're like, oh shit.
Let's see. Okay, this is fun. In an effort to tell the world that Nick Sirianni is slowly becoming Brandon Staley, without telling us that he's becoming Brandon Staley, the Eagles have hired former Cowboys/Chargers offensive coordinator Kellen Moore.
Hey, what you doing out here with all this ass?
Sirianni's tenuous position with the Eagles has been a hot topic of late.
So it's not just one.
I'm here to double down.
Yeah.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
No. I like Sirianni, but this is looking bad. This is working for somebody that doesn't want you anymore.
Correct.
This sucks for him, man. This is the Jason Garrett thing. They're doing what Dallas did.
This is funny because we joked about, when Kellen Moore signed with the Chargers, it was likely, the Chargers basically hiring Brandon Staley's replacement. That didn't turn out that way, obviously.
No, man. Turned out he was trash too.
But he is if this happens again.
Yeah.
The hiring of Kellen Moore, it's going to feel like, what do we do? Are we hiring the Grim Reaper here? Like, what do we do? Like, what's going on?
That meme where the Grim Reaper is going to different rooms and there's blood coming out of there?
Yeah, exactly.
That's Kellen Moore, man.
That's Kellen Moore.
Yeah, fire that one up. It's coming. Because when he left, that offense got better in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got to the Chargers and it got worse.
Yeah, I'm not ready to blame Kellen Moore for the Chargers.
No, I'm not blaming him. No, Brandon Staley just didn't know what he was doing.
Because
I shouldn't say that.
I don't think they've built out that roster the way that they should have. And they clearly overlooked some of their biggest issues, which is a terrible offensive line, which is putting their I don't know if Justin Herbert is a generational quarterback, but he's a good
the best quarterback. He's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, according to everybody who there's no proof of this.
Let's just say that he's a very good quarterback. And wouldn't it be nice to see what he looks like if he's not getting, sacked or pressured on every other fucking play? You know what I mean? I think he could be good. But whatever, we'll see. Sirianni, for me, at this point, I can already give you an update, is 100% on the hot seat for next year.
Oh, yeah.
Might have one of the hottest seats out there.
It's weird.
It feels like Howie Roseman is running the team at this point. So, I don't know. We'll see. This is another. There's been some weird shit in the coaching carousel this week. Yeah. So, first it was announced that the Raiders had hired Cliff Kingsbury as their offensive coordinator, right?
Mm-hmm. And they got Harbaugh as a coach, right?
No. The Raiders.
Chargers got Harbaugh.
Pierce.
Yeah, they hired
Antonio Pierce.
Kingsbury doesn't seem like a good fit for that.
Right. However, he gets a call from Dan Quinn, who was hired by the Commanders. They had already announced, the Raiders had sent the contract to Kingsbury.
Wow.
But before he signs it, he gets this call from Dan Quinn. Cliff Kingsbury pulls out, quicker than a priest at a whorehouse and said, "Sorry, Raiders. I'm gonna go over to the Commanders because they got the number 2 overall pick."
If you're not Caucasian, then leave.
Which to me is like,
happens,
seriously have, there's 32 teams in the NFL, and there's seriously 2 of them who are fighting for Cliff Kingsbury. Do we not remember what a Cliff Kingsbury offense looks like?
No, that's Cliff Kingsbury as a head coach.
Yeah, but this is like.
I guess so. What
I mean, this is.
He wasn't coordinator first. He came straight from college.
Yeah, but the knock on Kingsbury is that
he gets the lead and loses it.
He can only.
Coach for half a year.
He can only coach for half a year.
But you only have him as coordinator. All he focused on is offense. That shouldn't be bad. And he also, the people need to remember he had Patrick Mahomes in college. And then he had Baby Yoda in the pros.
Right.
So maybe he wants to get with some.
Part of this,
fighting over him is weird. I agree with that.
But here's the thing. The part of this that is a little interesting. So obviously, we all know Cliff Kingsbury is the somewhat disgraced former head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, but he spent last year as the quarterback coach for USC working directly with Caleb Williams. Now, Caleb Williams seems to have made it very clear that he is not interested in playing for a bad football team. Mm-hmm. I don't know. And I don't know if he's really talked shit directly about the Bears, but it feels like he's been kind of talking around the idea of not wanting to play for the Bears. And he also has his father out there in the press kind of talking some shit too on his behalf. But if I'm him, I see that the Bears, you have the Matt Eberflus-led Bears with the number 1 pick. DJ Moore is the only piece they've got that I, as a quarterback, could possibly be excited about. But the Commanders are sitting there with the number 2 pick. They got Dan Quinn, who has a lot more experience as a head coach. He knows how to tune up a defense, obviously. Also knows how to blow a 28-3 lead in the biggest game of the year, so that has to be said. As far as weapons, they've got Curtis Samuel, they've got Jahan Dotson, they've got Scary Terry McLaurin, they got Brian Robinson Jr.
Yeah.
All the mock drafts out there have Williams going to the Bears, but I would say if this dude and his father, who's out here getting involved in this conversation in the press, if they really don't want to go to Chicago, I don't think it would be that hard to they're literally Chicago's 1, Commanders are 2. You flip them, and all of a sudden Caleb Williams is playing for the Commanders. I don't think it would be that hard to do.
Yeah. Commanders. No, the Bears should fleece the Commanders for the number 1 pick. We're gonna take them. We're gonna
go rape these basketball dudes.
You know what? I think Antonio Pierce dodged a bullet. He's going to hire this guy. And it's not because I don't think he's a good offensive coach. I think it's a possibility that he's going to be a good offensive coordinator. I just think somebody so recently removed from being head coach is probably going to be a problem being with a first-time coach.
Right.
Where he's second guessing you. He's telling you how to run your meetings. He's like, he's in your ear and he doesn't want to do what you say. Dude's going to do it his way because he thinks he knows better. You probably want either the guy who's jaded or like a first-time offensive coordinator or somebody who is just like never wants to be a head coach type of guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure Kingsbury wants to be head coach again.
Here's another little nugget on Kingsbury. 2 years ago, Caleb Williams basically took the college football world by storm, won the Heisman Trophy, became the it guy in college football.
Yeah.
They hire Kingsbury as the quarterback's coach for this season. Caleb Williams played worse this year than he did the year before.
Oh.
So all of that number 1 pick hype happened. That all started 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's So
and he's crying on the sidelines now.
Yeah.
Thanks to Killer.
You know who's not crying?
Ooh.
Steelers fans. Steelers fans aren't crying. They go from that stale, lifeless offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, to the just absolute rotten and senseless Arthur Smith as their new offensive coordinator. Imagine how angry Steelers fans are right now.
What do you mean? Arthur Smith, he turned Tannehill into something.
To be fair, again, maybe this, if the Steelers are lucky, this will be hopefully one of those cases where it's like, okay, maybe Arthur Smith has learned that it's better to just not be the guy, right? Because yes, he was a very good offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans.
He's not going to say it. He won't second guess Mike Tomlin.
I think maybe Arthur. I mean, look, I wish him no ill will. I know what he was trying to do in Atlanta, and in some cases, he really did box above his weight class at times. His stubbornness turned out to be his undoing, obviously, this past year. Yeah. But I don't see any reason why this couldn't be successful. The only problem that I have with the Steelers per se is that I'm on record by saying that I think that the quarterback situation just ain't it. Like you have pieces out there, right? You just got to use them, and I don't believe in their quarterback setup.
We've seen this with the Steelers before when they went with a head coach that they brought in as a offensive coordinator, and it was one of Big Ben's better years too. When the offense was humming was when they had Todd Haley, former Chiefs coach, right? Mm-hmm. I remember. I think it was the Chiefs coach, but Todd Haley came in and they looked good, man, and he fit right in under Tomlin, and they started humming. So we've seen them do this before, and they might do it again.
You see that thing I sent you about George Pickens?
No, what about George Pickens?
It was a great meme where it was like George Pickens the day after realizing they hired Arthur Smith as the offensive coordinator. And it's like, you know that clip that's going around? That guy, he's in court, and the judge says something to him, and he jumps.
Oh, yes, I did see that.
He jumps and like tackles the judge. I was like, yeah.
That dude's out of his mind, man.
Yeah. Let's see. Chargers have hired a couple of coordinators. Jesse Minter is going to be their defensive coordinator. Greg Roman is going to be their offensive coordinator. Harbaugh is kind of putting the band back together, sort of. Minter. Jesse Minter was his DC in Michigan, and Greg Roman was his offensive coordinator when Harbaugh coached the 49ers to the Super Bowl.
Man, they're passing them back and forth between each other, right? Wasn't Roman the offensive coordinator in Baltimore too?
Yeah, exactly.
And then McDonald came from Harbaugh's staff, from Jim to from Stanford. Was it Stanford or Michigan? They've been passing people back and forth.
Yep, it's true. The Harbaughs got their own little.
Yeah, they got a little
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Ecosystem. That's probably a better way to put it. Yeah,
I think it's gonna be annoying, man. Another AFC force is coming out of there. Until he burns all the bridges around him, he's gonna have a thing going over there. And but San Diego, the Spanos guys they're probably the right owners to have them.
I wish they would move the team back to San Diego. I'm tired of, I just feel like I don't want to call them the Los Angeles Chargers. I just don't want to do it. Just feels wrong.
Well, there's this guy in Sweden, and he just doesn't want to call us L.A. So fuck it, man.
It just feels lame. Like, go back to San Diego. What are you doing?
I agree.
The Falcons are out here hiring some coordinators.
Okay.
Zach Robinson is their new offensive coordinator. Zach and Raheem worked together in Los Angeles with the Rams.
What did he do? What was his last job?
I think he worked with the quarterbacks, or the wide. He's never actually been an offensive coordinator, so that's a little concerning.
That's what happens with these coaches, man. They don't want to work for these brothers, man. Except for Tomlin, they work for him.
But I'm assuming there must be something there because there were a lot of media people who saw
what happened
this
to
guy.
Eric Bieniemy? He didn't get any Eric Bieniemy.
Eric Bieniemy has been officially let go by the Commanders because they just hired Kingsbury to be the offensive coordinator. So he gone.
Wonder why they didn't bring him into Pittsburgh.
I don't know. They also hired defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake, who spent the last year as the Rams' assistant head coach, or assistant to the head coach. I don't know. Office reference. He obviously worked with Morris in LA, but also back in the days when they were together at the Bucks. Lake has also had head coaching experience at the college level with the Washington Huskies, where he was actually suspended and eventually fired for a sideline incident where he punched one of his own players on the sidelines.
Damn.
It was one of those things where the player was doing something stupid and he ran over and tried to stop him from doing it. And I think he got, I don't think he meant to punch him, but
it was a college player.
Yeah.
Oh, this next
Can't be hitting these kids. Can't be hitting these kids, man.
This next generation can't take a simple punch to the face.
And then, interestingly enough, I don't know if this is interesting to everyone. I think it's kind of interesting because it sort of shines a light on the why they didn't hire Belichick thing. The Falcons also announced that they were making what they called some cosmetic changes to the role of their CEO, Rich McKay. It's always been a little bit of a mystery what this guy does in the building.
What would you say it is you do here?
Yeah, but reports have started to leak out that for years he's been sort of the main person that coaches and GMs would have to report to on a weekly basis in season and after games. And then McKay would carry that information to the owner, Arthur Blank, which typically was kind of the GM's job for most organizations. Based on insider reports, this is not really a normal thing for CEOs who generally manage the day-to-day, off-the-field, non-football, branding, marketing type stuff. So Blank has essentially announced that McKay is no longer involved in the football side of things. So the announcement itself kind of amounts to the owner essentially admitting that he's been lying to his fans this whole time, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
He's sort of thought of as Arthur Blank's right-hand man, the guy who knows where all the bodies are buried.
Yeah.
Also, most people probably don't know this or didn't remember it, but Rich McKay was the one who was suspended in 2015 for Noisegate, which you can read about on yourteamcheats.com, a scandal where it was discovered that McKay had piped in crowd noise into the speakers of the old Georgia Dome for Falcons home games because there was nobody showing up to the games.
Damn, that's a whole mafia thing over there, man. Hey, bring in the noise, all right? Bring in the noise, all right?
Yeah.
Hey, what happened to Arthur Smith? Hey, you won't be seeing him no more.
Yeah. Another layer to this is that there was apparently, like the why Belichick didn't get hired, there was a long time rift between Belichick and McKay because McKay is also the longtime chair of the NFL competition committee that oversees the potential rule changes in the NFL. The same committee that has changed a number of rules after Belichick found ways to exploit the gaps in the rule book, something he's famous for.
Yeah.
McKay has also been the one leading the charge to limit the role of kickoffs and other various special team aspects of the game, all of which have been openly criticized by Belichick. So apparently there's a kind of a legitimate behind-the-scenes beef between these two guys.
Do you think he moved McKay from the football because he feels like that's the reason they couldn't get Belichick? It's like, you cost me the coach I wanted?
I think, based on the reporting, it wasn't just it was all the people they interviewed. The Falcons interviewed like 500 people for this job, and they all had a negative reaction to the way the front office situation was being run. It wasn't just Belichick who had an issue with the fact that McKay was kind of hovering over this whole thing. Everyone who interviewed for the job apparently said it shouldn't work like this.
Do you think anyone, since his name is McKay and he's the right-hand man, does anyone call him MK?
Okay.
That's just another question.
Drugs are bad. Okay. Obviously, they didn't get Belichick. They went with Raheem Morris instead. But they made all of these, they made all these switches anyway. I don't know. In a way, I guess you could say that McKay, I don't know. It depends on how you look at it, right? Did Rich McKay save us from the omnipotent dictator, Bill Belichick? Or did he doom us to continued mediocrity?
It depends on the success of Raheem Morris.
Absolutely. I like this guy. I'm
really
excited.
He's a part of that circle of the future of the NFL right there. He's in that LaFleur and who else?
I agree.
Daniel and Mike. Sean McVay. He's in that circle of guys.
It's insane to think about all the guys who we consider to be like not just the future. They are the present of the NFL. all those guys were on the same staff.
On the staff, yeah.
With the
Washington Commanders, huh?
Commanders once upon a time, which is kind of crazy. And I remember when Raheem Morris was our interim head coach after Dan Quinn got fired, I personally felt like he showed enough and the team showed that they like really were willing to play for him. I was like, I kind of want them to give him the job. Like, why not? But they didn't. And they went with Arthur Smith instead. And now he's back. He gave a great press conference the other day and talked a lot about how the significance of being the first black coach of the Atlanta Falcons is not lost on him, how much that means for the team, how much it means for the city. So I'm here for it. And by all accounts, most people say that he's not only a very knowledgeable football guy, but just a funny ass motherfucker. Like, the number of people I've heard saying, like, they're like, when you go in to interview, you go in to interview Sean McVay and all of a sudden you're getting cracked up by Raheem Morris because he's just so much fun to be around. So I've heard a lot of good things about him.
I hope it works out, man. I'd like to see you because we're going to be in the Super Bowl next year. So it'd be cool if we're playing against y'all.
If we live through a Dolphins-Falcons Super Bowl. I mean, that'll
be the last year we pod. We pod until that happens. That's our pact on here.
I mean, it's like. Oh my God.
I gotta do a little one.
Yeah, that would be something. Yeah, we would have to go out on top if that were the case.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's most of the news. Obviously,
nice.
Obviously we have the Super Bowl coming up.
What?
I'm not interested in talking about the Pro Bowl.
No, I don't even know who won the flag football game. Did you see Tua came in last in the quarterback thing? Because he just did not try.
Right.
Because they didn't account for the fact that he's left-handed. So they were throwing him the ball from the right side, and he had to keep turning his body before he made every throw. So then his timing was he basically had a short amount of time than everybody else. Like, they didn't even consider this guy's left-handed. Or throws with his left hand. He's right-handed, but he throws with his left hand. So it's just like.
Also,
he was like, what the fuck are
I
we
watched
doing?
the quarterback accuracy thing, and I think Baker Mayfield
won.
Fucks with him. No, but I think Baker fucked with Tua.
Oh, did he?
There was one point where Tua was getting ready to throw, and he goes, "No, wait."
Oh yeah. I didn't know that was Mayfield that did it.
And Mayfield admitted it later. He was like, "Well, I can admit it now that it's over. Like, I kind of fucked with him."
It's funny. I like when the players are just having a good time out there, but Tua is like, why are they? They didn't even consider that. You want him to take it seriously, but you're not giving him the ball from the correct side.
I mean, ultimately, like, I'm happy. Like, I watched the competitions.
Yeah,
I didn't see the game. I saw some of the other stuff.
Did you see the catch thing? I think that's a really cool thing. It's almost like a dunk competition where they have the craziest catch.
I did see that. So I love it for the players. They obviously look like they're having a blast. It looks really fun.
The dodgeball is always great. I didn't see
dodgeball is fun. CD Lamb was quite good at dodgeball.
Oh, nice.
Who else was good? Somebody else. I forget. Anyway, it's great. It's great fun, but it's like nobody should take it seriously. There's nobody should be coming up with Tua Tagovailoa all it takes after the fucking. It's like, stop it. Stop it, Dolphins Twitter.
Oh, what are they? Oh, yeah. Oh,
I don't know. I'm sure they're saying something.
I've seen some people that are like, he came in dead last. You lost to Baker Mayfield. Chris Greer. How could you do this to us? How could you fleece Houston to get all of this stuff and to waste it on Tua Tagovailoa? Oh, that's why it makes me hope that he gets a crazy contract just to stick it to us. Like, we don't deserve a good quarterback to give a team-friendly contract. We don't deserve it because we're putting this guy through hell.
It's true.
All right, man.
Should we? Do you want to go through the nominees for the NFL honors?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we talked about the Pro Bowl. Well, let's talk about the honors.
Let's do them in reverse order.
Okay.
This one, you and I, maybe we didn't vote on this one, you and me, but I didn't realize. Yeah, they give out an award for Assistant Coach of the Year.
Oh.
These
Assistant
names,
Coach of the Year. Who do they have?
These names will not be surprising. They have Bobby Slowick from the Houston Texans, Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator for the Browns, very deserving. I would say.
He might be the one to get it.
Mike McDonald, Ravens defensive coordinator, now Seahawks head coach. Ben Johnson.
Ben Johnson got to be,
and my man, former Bulldog Todd Monken.
Yes, these are really
Ravens.
good.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Who else is out there?
Who do you think? Those are the ones that are nominated. Who do you think will win it? I think it'll be Ben Johnson. Although I don't know who won it last year, to be honest.
I think Schwartz should win it.
I agree. I think he has a pretty good argument for it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Schwartz.
Coach of the Year. We got Dan Campbell.
Okay.
Detroit Lions. John Harbaugh, Baltimore Ravens. D'Amico Ryans from the Texans. He who shall not be named, who coaches the San Francisco 49ers. And then you have Kevin Stefanski from the Cleveland Browns.
Stefanski should win. You
think so?
Man, 4 quarterbacks?
That's a good point.
4 quarterbacks, man. And coaching that team, keeping them motivated. Yeah, that dude coached his ass off this year. Either him or Dan Campbell, but I got to go with Stefanski. He did more with less.
That's a really
not
good
more
point.
with less, but he worked with less. Campbell got to the championship game, but it's Stefanski in my eyes.
Yeah.
Campbell never lost. He was one of the few teams that the quarterback played every single game.
Do you remember who we predicted would win Coach of the Year?
Neither one of us predicted Stefanski. That's for damn sure.
No.
I think you might have said Mike McDaniel, and I think I said Kyle Shanahan, right?
We both said Mike Tomlin.
And some people thought he should have got fired.
And
he walked up. Well, I mean, he got his team to the playoffs. Nobody thought that they would get to the playoffs once during the season. Once they lost. Once Trubisky took the helm, we didn't expect them to go to the playoffs in the AFC. So he did a good job coaching, but we both said Tomlin. I thought it was Kenny Pickett's year, man, to show the league I'm here.
Right.
So that was why I said that.
There was a lot of preseason hype.
Yes.
Around Kenny Pickett. There was a lot of preseason hype around Kenny Pickett.
Do you have who we had in the playoffs, or are we going to talk about that later?
We could talk. Yeah, we can get to that too. It's funny. Let's see. Comeback Player of the Year.
You said Tua, right?
I did say Tua. You said DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah.
The one DeMar Hamlin's on this list, obviously. The name that nobody saw coming because the guy was sitting on his couch for most of the year was Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, my man, former Bulldog Matthew Stafford, of course, and then Tua. So
Tua's did you hear they're talking about changing the name of that award to the
You catch a nigga off guard with this shit.
Award. They're still trying to decide who's allowed to give the award. Like, it has to be a black person.
Right. For me, the only as much as I want, I mean, I just feel like DeMar Hamlin didn't really play.
No, he didn't come back and do much. He can't. You know what he did? He didn't get that 4th down conversion.
Right.
His biggest play of the year was a failed 4th down conversion.
I mean, if I'm being honest, and this is not because if I set aside like
he should have won it last year because that's when he actually came back from the dead.
Exactly. I honestly feel like it should be Tua. I mean, Tua came back this year from
and was a top 5 quarterback. Yeah,
all those concussions, was a top 5 quarterback playing for one of the best offenses in the league. And in a year where all of the quarterbacks got injured, it was like he was one of like 3, 4, maybe 5 guys who played the whole season. It's like,
yeah, and he led the league in some statistics, and yeah.
I really feel like it should be him.
Yeah.
Let's see, defensive rookie of the year. The nominees are Will Anderson from the Texans, yours, right? Jalen Carter from the Eagles,
I think that was it.
Joey Porter Jr. from the Steelers, Kobe Turner from the Rams, and then Devon Witherspoon from the Seahawks.
Who did we say?
You said Will Anderson. Mm-hmm. And I said my man, former Bulldog, Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Of course. That makes sense.
Calling this shit.
Yeah.
SveNFL Stradamus.
Yep. Offensive Rookie of the Year, we got Jahmyr Gibbs from the Lions, Sam Laporta also from the Lions, Puka Nacua from the Rams, Bijan Robinson from the Falcons, C.J. Stroud from the Texans. I don't think any of us predicted C.J. Stroud was going to be this good this year.
No.
I don't think we obviously did not have these kind of expectations for the Texans in general. So you and I both picked Bijan for Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
We also didn't know that Arthur Smith was going to be a complete asshat all year. That's another thing we didn't predict. So I'm assuming this is C.J. Stroud.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
if you get a good quarterback, that's a rookie. Sorry, everybody else.
It's a very QB-biased league.
It's the toughest position in sports.
As much as I think you could make a case for, especially for, to me, the one person you could really, truly make a case for other than C.J. Stroud would be Puka Nacua, and that's because he broke so many records this year.
Yeah.
So did Stroud, apparently. So, Offensive Player of the Year, we got your guy, Miami Dolphin, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he's going to win that.
Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, CeeDee Lamb from the Cowboys, Christian McCaffrey from the 49ers, and Dak Prescott from the Cowboys. Offensive Player of the Year. Let's see. You took Justin Jefferson. We obviously didn't know he was going to get injured.
No.
I chose Tyreek Hill.
Wow. Look at Skiff.
So that just happened. Defensive Player of the Year nominees, we got Deron Bland from the Cowboys.
I'm sure I picked Michael Parsons.
Max Crosby from the Raiders, Myles Garrett from the Browns, Micah Parsons from the Cowboys, and TJ Watt from the Steelers. You took Micah Parsons.
He's just the best. He's amazing.
I took TJ Watt.
Look at us, man. Look at us. Huh? Look at us.
Yeah, we got the list. I mean, we're pretty good at hitting the list for sure. Yeah. Who do you think will actually win that? I think it's a toss-up between Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, actually.
Probably Myles Garrett.
Yeah. He deserves it.
Schwartz did his thing, bro. He put Myles Garrett in a good,
Pulled out his Schwartz and showed everybody how big it was.
Pulled down his Schwartz and showed.
And then finally, we have the most valuable player. Nominees are Josh Allen from the Bills, Lamar Jackson from the Ravens, McCaffrey from the 49ers, Dak Prescott, what is he doing there? Brock Purdy, what is he doing there?
Yes, Brock Purdy should not be on this list. Mahomes not on there? You said no Mahomes?
It's not on here.
Lamar Jackson not on there?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's on here.
Okay.
But Mahomes is not here.
Lamar Jackson is going to win it. Who do we guess?
You guessed Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
And I guessed Joe Burrow. So it was a big swing and a miss for MVP for you and me.
Mahomes should always be on there. He proved it in the playoffs that he's the most valuable player. With that team patched together like that.
Yeah.
That one play, I don't think we even mentioned it because he does so many things that are just so good that they fall into the pile and you just like talk about the game. But that one play when he like scrambles a little bit and he's going down and he just lobs it up and Kelsey makes that great catch. You know what I'm talking about? Kelsey catches it like under the ball a bit. When man, it's just you just leave there speechless all the time. This dude is so good. We take him for granted. He's so good. It's like Brady, where you just take it for granted.
Yeah, and in a way, obviously the Chiefs offensively did not put up the same kind of like stats that they've put up in the past, which sort of exposes a bit of a flaw in the MVP.
Yeah. Oh, the definition of it, I think is what it is. Like we all define what we think is most valuable. We all can agree that the MVP, as in most valuable position, is the quarterback position.
I think they need to reframe the question.
Yeah.
I think the people who vote for these things, they need to say, okay, there's 32 quarterbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to give you one of them, and you're going to play in one game. If you lose,
you relegated.
We're going to kill you. Like you're going to die. Your life actually depends. You have one chance to save your life. Which one of these 32 quarterbacks do you want? I don't think it would be that difficult to decide who that would be. You know what I mean? Like, forget about the stats, forget about the numbers.
Yeah.
You got one game.
Take Mahomes,
and your life.
And you got a shitty receiver core.
Yeah.
What do you do? You take Mahomes.
I'm going to give you a good defense. Kadarius Toney. Who's your quarterback?
And Stephen Hawking. That's your receiver core. Now, Hawkins, right now. Dig up the wheelchair, put it on the field, bones and all. What are you going for? And Hawkins makes more catches than Kadarius. Yo, have you heard the accusation?
Which ones?
Probably on the Epstein.
Oh no,
Stephen Hawking.
Oh, that Stephen Hawking was there. Yes, I did hear.
Did you hear what his thing supposedly is?
No, that I did not hear.
Apparently, he got off on having little people.
Oh no.
Solve naked, and then solve equations. They put these difficult math equations on a dry erase board, a little bit too high for them to reach. It's the funniest thing. I hope it's not true, but I kind of hope it's true. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody's really getting like, I mean, you're getting crushed as like psychologically, it's fucked up.
Wow.
But nobody's getting like physically hurt. So it's not. It's hilarious that he's just sitting there like, solve this, this equation.
What's the matter? Is it too high?
Reach more. Reach higher.
Would you like a step ladder? I mean, that is just
I bet you would like a
terrible.
Oh, man. That's one of the accusations that was out there.
That's crazy.
It's like hilarious.
Should we go through our predictions? Well, I guess we could. So, okay, for division winners in the AFC, your preseason prediction was Titans, Chiefs, Dolphins, and Bengals winning their divisions.
I only got
you got one right. I predicted for division winners, I predicted Jags, Chiefs, Bills, and Bengals. So that means I got 2 right. Right?
Yeah, Bills and Chiefs.
Yeah, because the Jags blew it at the last second, right?
Yeah, Houston won that division.
Crazy.
Yeah.
On the NFC side, you predicted.
I let y'all talk me into that shit.
49ers, Falcons, Cowboys, Vikings. You got Cowboys. Got Cowboys.
I got 2 out of 4.
Jesus, what was I thinking?
Did you pick Packers or some shit?
I picked the Seahawks to win the NFC
You're
West.
Such a hater, man. I never seen more Shanahan hate. What did he do to you?
Don't get me started. I picked the Seahawks and the Falcons. Idiot. Cowboys and Vikings. So I only got 1 right there. For wild card spots, let's see. You picked Bills, Steelers, Ravens. I picked Ravens, Dolphins, Steelers.
Damn, did you get that right?
No, the Ravens won their division.
Well, they won division, but you got the right
But I got
teams,
Dolphins and Steelers right.
Yeah.
Who else?
We missed Houston in the playoffs.
Yeah, we did.
And we missed, did the Colts make it?
Mm-mm.
Didn't the AFC South send 2? No?
Mm-mm.
Who sent 2? The AFC East? And the AFC North, because Cleveland made it. Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
Cleveland and Baltimore.
On the NFC side, for wild cards, you had Seattle, you had the Eagles, and you had the Packers. So you had 2 of those right, actually. I had Eagles, 49ers, and Lions. Look at me putting the Lions in the playoffs. You didn't think the Lions were going to make the playoffs.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be even more dangerous. They kept Ben Johnson.
I think so,
now
too.
They're going to be hungry. Yeah, so.
For the AFC Championship game, you picked the Chiefs versus the Dolphins. I picked the Bengals versus the Bills. So, yeah. And on the NFC side, you picked Cowboys versus 49ers in the NFC Championship game. I picked Cowboys versus Eagles. Both wrong. You had the Dolphins versus the 49ers.
In the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl, and you have Brock Purdy winning the MVP. And you have the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. You had the Cowboys in, right?
I had the Bengals playing the Cowboys. I had the Bengals winning, and I had Joe Burrow as the MVP. So
I've got controlled fury.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
I feel like year one, we got so many things right, and it's just been all
falling down ever since. We got to regroup, man. I think the COVID fucked us up, man.
You know what
we're just
is?
Coming back from COVID. We gotta come in next year. We gotta clean the palate, eat some wasabi, and eat some ginger.
I think it's one of those cases of like, because I wasn't paying that much attention to the league when we first started doing this, and then I get into it, and I think in some cases I think ignorance is your friend.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like the less you know, because you don't overthink it too much.
Yep. Yeah, but
now
and
now we know too much. We overthink it, and we think we know what's going on.
All the
and we
drama
listen,
and shit.
And we're out here listening to preseason Kenny Pickett hype like it's fucking, like it's written in stone.
I mean, but watching them too. That's the way I make my division thing. I watched when the first string's playing.
But that's like preseason football. That's basically practice. Talking about practice.
We talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
Let them know, AI. Mm-hmm. Should we do predictions on here, man? The Super Bowl is upon us. We still got to flip and pick.
That's true. We're going to do that. Let's see. Well, we could either do another episode and then do it there.
All right, well, let's do that then. All right.
But I already know who's going to win the Super Bowl, but I'm not going to tell you now. That's what's called in the biz a tease. So tune in for the next episode to learn who's going to win the Super Bowl before everybody else, before the game is even played. Because we've already seen my powers of prediction. I already told you the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the man knows. He just disregarded the best roster in the NFL. Just said, fuck it.
I don't even know who that is.
I can't wait to hear who's going to win. It's starting to feel really even, though. The more I think about it, the more even it feels. But then it could be that just talent just comes out there and fucking punches the Chiefs in the mouth. But that defense is real, man. That's the coordinator. That's the coordinator that we didn't talk about.
Spagnuolo.
Steve Spagnuolo. Why is he not nominated for something? Because that Chiefs offense was paltry at the beginning of the season, and that defense carried that team through the entire season. That's somebody that's gotten forgotten.
It's a fair point. When
the defense got them like they're saying like they're averaging 7 points in the second half.
I mean, the real question is when will middle-aged white guys get a break? You know what I mean? When will they catch a break in today's society? Man. It's just, as a middle-aged white guy, you can say it's just tough. It's tough out here in the streets.
I'm
out here in the streets, son. It's tough.
Out here in these streets, targeted. Targeted like a college receiver.
Almost makes you want to go blackface.
Wants to go blackface, you never go.
Apparently that's not acceptable anymore either.
So what can we do?
I don't even know what I'm allowed to say anymore.
If I can't paint my lips large and pink and my face black, what can I do? What can I do?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know.
All right. On that positive note.
That's a bold statement.
There was so much more I could have said, but I was like, maybe I should just stop.
Let me stop while I'm ahead. Let me stop while I'm only a little behind.
Exactly.
Good times, man. I love this. I'm gonna miss it when we're in off season. But thanks for checking this episode out, y'all. We got one more game, man, to determine the champion of the season. Stay tuned for the next episode of SveNFL. This has been Jonathan Rollins
and Skip Missouri.
With SveNFL. Peace.
Later, y'all.